Today, the session's topic is Azure Security and Compliances. So we will just go through the agenda of the session. We would be covering a set of a topic. Mostly it would be some concepts that's related to the security. And in the fourth topic, we will be talking about some compliances, security compliances. And finally, we'll give a small, very brief introduction about some security solutions. I know some people actually prefer just, going to these solutions straight. But here I think there is an importance talking about the concepts and the theories. First, because then you would be probably get familiar with them, because actually these are the foundation of any security solutions. So when we talk about these concepts, you will get into know, okay, this is the sense of any the security solutions here that is built in the Azure. So first, we would talk about one of the concepts there in Azure. It's called shared responsibility model. Yep, this is about the customer and the cloud provider. So when we talk about the shared responsibility, so when we say Azure, I think people mostly think, okay, all the security concerns and all security related matters is up to the cloud provider, Azure. So the customer itself has no responsibility towards securing their data. There may be the platforms. But still, when they just give these offerings, the different services, they say, okay, responsibility is not only to us, Azure, but to you too. In that case, we can just, go through different service types that Azure provides. Sometimes it could be on premises. On premises means then there could be on premises platforms, but it could be connected with clouds. And then we have IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, these kind of service types. So on premises, if it is hosted on premises, that means the whole responsibility of the security is probably should be shouldered by the customer. So it's highlighted in the orange color. So when it is about infrastructure as a service, then the most of the responsibility is up to the customer. I hope you know this PaaS, SaaS, yes, these service types, right? Anybody?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. When you say infrastructure as a service, then it's about the computing infrastructure. So about these networks, and it could be again the data center, and maybe the hardware, that stuff. So the software, actually it includes software too, the OS and everything. So actually the majority of the security concerns should be fulfilled by the customer itself. But some of actually the security is catered or is provided by the Azure itself too. And mostly when we talk about all these service types, the data, the security of data, and then personal identities and accounts, all these should be taken care by the customer. So you shouldn't probably push it to the cloud provider, Azure. So you should know how to secure your data. You should encrypt or mask or whatever the mechanisms you should enforce. So talking about PaaS, again, actually the most of the you know security mechanisms are enforced by the Microsoft here, but partially it's up to the customer too. And SaaS, actually, most of the again, more than PaaS, SaaS with SaaS, Azure holds the responsibilities. So this is how the responsibility distribution between the customer and the cloud provider looks like. So I think you can probably see a pattern here. So the most the service management responsibility goes to Microsoft. The security, strengthening security is also just pushed towards Microsoft. So more than yes and pass, SaaS actually, for SaaS, Microsoft holds the responsibilities. So it is that kind of relationship. I think we are good here, so we can move to the next topic if you don't have any questions. Yep, I think we can go to this. This too, again, a different concept, defense in depth. So as the diagram shows, I think you just get some idea about what this is. But all this post just stands there for some defense mechanism. So it could be in terms of identity, sometimes network and application data, something like this. So Azure just believes, okay, more than strengthening any product or environment with just one security strategy or mechanism, it's always good to go with a series of defenses. So this is called a defense, a line of defenses. So probably it's like layers. So before you go into a certain, maybe a set of data that you need to protect, you probably have to, bypass this, each of these defense mechanisms. So that actually just, erases your security rather than just setting a defense strategy. So let's say this is a hacker, okay? If they want to get their hands on your data, then probably they have to just penetrate all these. So I will just give a brief introduction about all these, defense types. So when we say the physical, it means protecting your data center. So how you protect your data center? You just give the limited access to these data centers. So not anybody can just go there and then tell, okay, I have my virtual machine there, so I need to get access to that. No, it doesn't happen that way. So you have some security mechanism in terms of accessing that data center. So that is the first one. Then when it comes to identity and access, it talks about enforcing the security on your infrastructure. It could be virtual machine, and it could be other infrastructures, but then you can enable multi-factor authentication there, so that you just say only authorized personnel will be allowed to your virtual machine. So it's that. And when you talk about the perimeter, it is talking about the corporate network. So if the hacker targets the corporate networks, then everything can go down. So Azure just say, okay, we have these certain filters there, so that we can detect any large scale of attacks. So rather than the hacker claims the denial of service to the users, to the end user, it just protects. Actually, with this defense, it just protects the network, your maybe service products, or whatever you need to secure data. It could be data. So we can move to actually the next strategy there, network. Network, probably here we are talking about the techniques like the segmentation. So you have sub networks there. So you have these different resources, maybe in the same platform, in the same hosting environment. So with the sub networking, you just protect your resources. So the sub network can access the particular resources. It could be one. So the same sub network, through the same sub network, it cannot access the next resource. So probably it's about securing your data or services with segmentation. So with compute mechanism, we can talk about virtual machines. So it's about closing some ports. So you cannot access your virtual machine with every port. So certain ports are closed to the outsiders. So you cannot just request the virtual machine. Or if you want to, do a certain configuration to a virtual machine, you cannot access with every port. So that's about giving a limited access to a infrastructure like virtual machines. So application, again, you can just fasten your security with different mechanisms, like again authorizing the identity of the users that wishes to access your applications or data. You anyway prevent any vulnerabilities that's coming to your a secure data. So the final one, it's about the data layer. What you can do is you can just encrypt your data. Sometimes people hash. Sometimes you can mask your data. So that's again probably the defense line here. So the takeaway is, anyway, it's always better just to have a layers of security mechanism instead of one. Could be safer. Yep. So the next topic is CIA. This is not any theory there, but still this is most likely a principle that's coming with any security strategy. Because underneath, as well as providing the security, what we have to ensure is, the certain, the certain maybe goals of the users are fulfilled. When I say that, it could be availability. Like while we are providing the security, we cannot say, okay, we are just fastening the security of this application. While doing that, it will be unavailable. You cannot say that to the user. So you probably this talking about the balance between the security and the other the services that you are responsible towards the user. So if you just go one by one here it talks about the confidentiality. Confidentiality, it's directly related to your security. It's about securing your data or your environment, whatever that is, you need to protect. So integrity, when we say integrity, let's take this as an example. So you have your message that you need to deliver to your end user. It could be, again, a service, or it could be a real person there. While doing that, you think you need to protect the data from being breached. So from the intruders, what you do is you just encrypt it from this point, from your end, and then it actually just goes through a very secure network with these HTTPS protocols and all that. So it's delivered at the end. But again, this recipient, your friend, cannot read it because it's now encrypted, but you don't have a way to decrypt it. So that's what about the integrity. It should be there the way you found it. Before any security mechanisms, with its pure form, you need to be produced it whenever necessary. Likewise, if you need the user to know its username, his username, or email address, whatever that is, you might be securing it while encrypting and storing it in your DB, but still you need to produce its pure form back to the user if it is a requirement. So that's what the integrity says. So the availability, as I explained at the beginning, you need to make sure that the service or your data is available at all the time. So it might sometimes go down by minute or by 2 minutes, but still you need to, if you are pledged to do that, you probably have to deliver the service. So while just strengthening your security, you cannot say you are going to trade the speed or trade the availability for that. So probably, you will just reduce the trust in your customers doing that. So that's about CIA. So we say this is CIA principles. So this is again another concept here. So I should just trust nobody, nothing. So I think the topic itself is self-explanatory. So zero trust model. So trust nobody. So the quote says trust no one, verify everything. So before you trust in a person, you have to verify his identity or verify maybe whether it's the right person. So something like that. Even in the human world, I think, okay, we can take examples like, okay, you don't trust anybody that joins your team. She or he might be just joined and you just don't trust your secrets with them, right? So it could be the same thing. But when we work with data, and it could be these corporate secrets and the personal secrets. So whatever that is, we don't trust them, but we need to verify. We need to verify this first. So it says verify explicitly and least privileged access and assume breach. So verify explicitly, okay, we just talked enough, I think. So least privileged access, it says, it's like this. Let's say role-based access control. This Azure has this role-based access controlling mechanism. What it says is, okay, when you have the access to a certain resource, let's say Azure storage, or it could be Azure Key Vault, let's say Azure Key Vault. But it doesn't say you have access to other resources like to your Azure App Service. Sometimes it could be API, or it could be then Azure API Gateway, something like that. sometimes we can give the global access, but when we say RBAC, role-based access control, with this particular role, you say, okay, you have access only to this particular resource. So that way you are just limiting that person's maybe the possible attacking scope. If you want to do a harm, you will do only to this resource, but not to all the other resources. So something like that. Assume breach. When we say assume breach, these first two principles, it's about the proactive measures. So you do something before you get attacked. So assume breach, as the last principle, it says, okay, if the data is breached or system is breached, the security is breached here, then what you would do? Then what you would do to secure your data? What you should have done in the first place? Oh, okay. If you talk in terms of data, what do you think we can do if we have a possibility of this data gets breached? Anybody have any idea how we secure our data? Or how we can secure our data? Okay. Okay. We'll give the answer here. So there are actually certain ways you can protect your data. Let's say this Azure SQL, that is where we store our data, but they get the access to the DB. Now they have, relaxedly just go through all the data that you have stored. It could be users, the personal data, like their username, passwords, whatever. But still, if we have, just secure it away that it's been encrypted or hashed or masked, so it just doesn't say anything, even if it's visible to the breacher, it doesn't give any meaning, or it cannot relate to you, to the real user. So that's about assume breaching. So you just secure data even after it's breached. So it will be very difficult to crack it, or crack your password and get the real password. So that is about zero trust model. So trust nobody and then take the needed security measures. Yep. So this is also a continuation of the same zero trust model. Here this talking about the pillars that it's built on. Here we have these identities, devices, the different, the aspects. So with identities, it's talking about the authorized users, and devices, there can be many devices accessing your application, your app service. It could be your backend. So it could be a mobile app. So again, it could be from the browser, something like that. So you need to make sure, even if it's granted access to your secure setup, that it is monitored. If you just identify, okay, the browser, there is some virus or something, or that it tries to access your platform, then what it says is you have to be on alert. You have to monitor your devices that access your system. The applications, it's talking about the permissions and the certain roles that can access your system. The data, again, It's about the encrypting and masking data. And infrastructure networks, again, you can just segment your network, so you can just limit your ports that can access the system. Maybe IP ranges, limiting IP ranges, something like that. And if for infrastructure, you can just, if you take a virtual machine, then you can just give JIT access. That means we can configure the access to your infrastructure by a certain point and for a limited period of time only. After that, it gets expired. Even to the same user who configured JIT access cannot be accessed again after it's expired. So that's the idea. So, so far we talked about the security related concepts. Now we can focus on the security compliances here. Give me a moment. Yep, when we say security compliances, so it's talking about how and in which terms we should be compliant with the security, maybe with the security. So it could be that you are deciding to maybe just store your data in a different place, in a different region. So that particular geographical location has these different legislation or regulation that it should uphold. So it's about these compliances. So the first compliance says data residency. It's talking about the physical location where you are going to store your data. So let's say I have this experience here that I worked in an Australian project. So after we just built it up, and it was about the time that we deploy, that not deploy actually, that we go live. Then we found out they have this certain regulations, certain laws that government has enforced that you need to have this particular security compliances within your system to go online, to be more secure for its users. So they have a set of checklists there, like our system was a backend that they provided a set of APIs, backend APIs to our Angular frontend. So that is probably a client server mechanism. Then it said, okay, you cannot directly call your backend APIs from your Angular frontend. So that is a breach of our security protocols. So what we had to do was to be compliant. In the middle, as an intermediary, we had to put a barrier, like maybe a gateway that controls your access to the backend. So we probably used Azure API manager, where we just authorized any request coming to API backend before it reaches to the backend. So in the middle, we just use the authorization of the request, like it could be with access token. So we just decrypt it and then just check it whether this is an authorized request. And we can just limit some, actually just configure the IP ranges that can access our system, something like that. So it's about data residency. So based on where you store it, where you process it, you're gonna be compliant to this set of regulations that's related to your location. So the next topic says data sovereignty. That's about mostly about personal data. So I think any country, any region is so concerned about the privacy or the personal data of the users, whether it is in good hands. So here, in contrast to the first one, this says, okay, based on where this data is collected from or processed or held, it's gonna be compliant to that region. So if it is physically collected from, let's say, Norway, then we have to be compliant to the legislations of Norway. It could be stored in a different country. Let's say we are collecting it from Norway, but we are going to store it in Australia. So that's going to be complex because you have to be compliant to both things then. So again, data sovereignty says, okay, based on where you're collecting it from, where you're holding it from or processed, you have to be compliant to that region's regulations. So data privacy as the last security compliance, it says about your private data. Probably you should have heard these GDPRs. And yep, I think some of you should be working in this, the Norway and the Sweden, this, the projects of a project in this region. So, you have to, fulfill certain requirements. Now, so it's talking about how we are gonna secure the privacy of the user. So it is talking about a real user. It's not talking about a machine. So you have this data, let's say, and if you can, if the hacker get hold of your username, if he can track your identity, the natural person's identity, that means it's a breach of their security policies. So you have to be careful of that. That means it shouldn't be trackable. That data shouldn't talk about the user. So you have to do certain things in order to, maybe you can just make it very random and make it looks like doesn't say any meaning to the user, particular user, like some masking thing and anonymity, something like that. So it is about compliances. So, yep. Think. Okay, this is the final topic of the session. So it's about solutions. And Azure actually provides certain solutions, and it could be certain features in terms of security. So I think you can probably share your experience. I think you should have worked in Azure, right? These Azure services, worked with Azure services platforms. Anything? So did you find any security solutions that is interesting? Oh, okay, nobody would like to talk. I know. Whether it's because of the morning of, yep. And oh, here we have Microsoft Defender for Cloud and then Key Vault. This is not, all the security solutions that's provided by Azure, but this is some, chosen or picked or security solutions that is used in general. So we have application insights. So it could be Azure Monitor Logs, where it monitors any failures. It could be any requests coming to your application, and probably with logs you can just track, okay, what data is requested and where it's coming from. Maybe it could be IPs and that. So Azure Key Vault. So it's about protecting your keys. It could be account keys or shared signatures, or it could be the certificates. So some username password that you use for basic authentication. So you can probably secure it with Azure Key Vault. I think in many projects you already, have heard about this product and should be using it. Sorry, it's reaching. Yep. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud, it's detecting any threats, attacks, something like that. Any malicious thing. If we move to the next topic, here too, it is a set of solutions, but it is for your storages. So here we are not talking about any products, but some features that is enforced on storage, Azure storage services. So Azure storage, the data that is stored in there could be encrypted. So we use this feature for that. And, again, we have these blob storages with different blob types. So again, you can encrypt the blobs, the data. It could be images, or it could be unstructured data or JSON. So you can probably do an encryption for that. And again, the last two, it's about how we are going to give access to your storage. So if you have Azure storage, you cannot directly call it or request its service. When we request a service, then what the resource, so Azure storage does is they just verify your identity. If you are an authorized user only, they just let you in. So Azure storage account keys are used to access Azure storage. Again, the final one, the shared access key, both are used to access as different means to the storage accounts. So wrapping it up here, we can move to, again, different solutions that's enforced on databases. Yes, so I think, yeah, in our project, we use Azure SQL as the data storage primarily. So these are a set of features that's provided by Azure for your Azure SQL databases. So it provides firewall restrictions, and the Azure SQL connection can be encrypted. So, and it just facilitates you with some auditing. That means who access your database, Azure SQL database, and who performed this stuff, whether that person has deleted everything, all the records, like some audit details. And virtual network rules. You can probably just define your own set of rules, like inbound and outbound ports and restrictions, something like that. Yep. And here, as the final one, we are coming to this identity and access management. 。 that's actually these products and features are vastly used in within Azure. Different Azure resources use different identity and access protocols or mechanisms. So the first one is Azure Role-Based Access Control, in short, RBAC. So actually, it is a very easy access control mechanism that's set when you need to talk to a particular Azure resource within your platform. And the new value addition to Microsoft Azure, it is Microsoft Entra ID. So earlier it's called Azure Active Directory, but now they have housed Azure Active Directory and some other products within this Microsoft Entra ID. And we have then Azure Active Directory B2C. Actually, within our system, we use this product, Azure Active Directory B2C. So it is something interesting. So when we talk about this Azure Active Directories and then maybe identity models and how you just enforce or how you authorize you access users access to a product. Then you talk about access tokens and ID tokens and giving certain permissions or privileges to particular users. So it might not be to the whole product. You give access only to a certain part of your application. So how do we manage it with access tokens? So I think you know that you embed the certain identity of the user and their privileges, their permissions into the token and then pass it to the application. So there they decrypt it. So ASP.NET Core, these .NET frameworks actually facilitate or give these libraries just to do the decryption, so we don't have to do it on our own. So it's coming from the right user. So something like that. So it's kind of interesting. So actually, I just didn't dig into any of these products because it's a huge spectrum there. So you should know, okay, if you're going to talk about products, then we have to pick few and then dig in deep there. So rather than doing that, here you just hope you will get this as an entry point, and it's up to you to actually drive into these. So you will find it interesting. You will find different features and it's fascinating there, because when you get your hands on something, then okay, you can introduce it to others and then share it with others. So it's kind of interesting. So probably hope you will just get a good start with these introductions and then probably get yourself through these products. Yep, it is actually the end of the session.